Okay. So we have a data analysis and problem solving question. This falls under the quote unquote the hard category according to the SAT suite. Um, so it says here the same 20 contestants on each of 3 days answered 5 questions in order to win a prize. Each contestant received 1 point for each correct answer. So you can see day one, day two, day three, 20 contestants on each day. The number of contestants receiving a given score on each day is shown in the table above. No contestant received the same score on 2 different days. We will come to see that this is a rather important statement. If a contestant is selected at random, what is the probability that the selected contestant received the score of 5 on day 2 or day 3, given that the contestant received a score of 5 on one of the 3 days? So think of all the conditions that are happening here, right? So let's start with the last statement. Given that the contestant received a score of 5 on one of 3 days. So they are not selecting a student at random. Okay. It doesn't say some random student, right? It does say that here, but then it goes on to give you this condition at the end, given that the contestant received a score of 5. So then when we go to this column where we see all of the people that scored 5 out of 5, there are 7, right? And then you're wondering, so on day 1, there were 2 contestants that did this. And then on day 2, there were 2 contestants. And then on day 3, there were 3 contestants. You start to wonder, well, is there any overlap? And that's why I underlined this statement from the beginning. No contestant received the same score on 2 different days. So that means if somebody scored 5 out of 5 here, they couldn't have also scored 5 out of 5 here. So every single one of these is a unique element in that set. So there are a total of 7 people that scored a 5 out of 5. So when we talk about probability, what is the probability that the selected contestant received a score of 5 on day 2? Well, that is 2 out of 7, not out of 20. Because again, we're not selecting a student at random. It says given that the contestant received a score of 5 on one of 3 days. Okay, so this is the probability that someone scored a 5 on day 2. They also want to know or day 3. And anytime you're doing a probability question where we talk about or, we know we're adding these probabilities together. Okay. And so day 3, there are 3 out of 7 contestants that scored a 5. So what is the probability that someone scored 5 on day 2 or on day 3? Now, normally we would have to subtract the intersection of these, but since there is no intersection, we can just add these values together and get 5 out of 7 for our total answer.